All right, everybody. We're going to convene the Brattleboro Select Board meeting of February 1st, 2024. John, was this meeting properly warned?
This version of the meeting was properly warned.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All right. We got no minutes to approve, so we'll move right to chair remarks. I have no remarks this evening, and I'll turn it over to John for manager's comments.
Just one quick one.
Great.
Dog licenses are now available for the 2024 licensing period. All current dog owners were mailed a renewal notice in January. To renew an existing dog license, return your payment and renewal notice along with up-to-date rabies vaccine information by April 1st. A new animal license form is available on the town website for dogs not previously licensed in Brattleboro. Visit brattleboro.gov for more information or email the town clerk's office at townclerk@brattleboro.gov. That's it.
Nice. Thank you very much, John. We're going to move on to select board comments, committee reports. Board?
I'd just like to go on record as saying I have not received my dog license re-up yet. Okay?
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Can I do that on our handy dandy new website?
Yes.
Done.
Go there.
All right.
Yes.
Your tea is
Great.
spilling onto you.
Yeah, I know. I realized I bumped the table. Any other comments, board?
That was the only comment I had.
Daniel?
No, thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to public participation. This is an opportunity for members of the public to speak on an item that's not on the regularly warned agenda or to ask for a item of the consent agenda to be moved to the end of the regularly warned agenda. So I'll look to members of the public in the room first. And I don't see anyone there, and I will look to Zoom. I don't see anyone there. All right. So in that case, we're going to move on to agenda item 6, which is the consent agenda. John, do you mind speaking for a moment to those two items? Or yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
plus.
Two items on consent tonight. If you approve the consent agenda, you'll be approving the annual contract renewal for town attorney Bob Fisher and the law firm Fisher and Fisher. The agreement's identical to the one we're currently operating under, except that the retainer has been increased by 3.7% from $120,563 to $125,000 even. You will also be approving the appointment of Hillary Francis as town clerk, Bob Fisher as town attorney and Fisher, and Kimberly Frost as town treasurer, subject to ratification at representative town meeting.
Excellent. Board members, anyone wish to pull an item from the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'd look for a motion.
I motion that we accept the agenda as presented, consent agenda as presented. So-
Peter's made a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor, please indicate with an aye.
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 It's going to carry 4-0. Thank you very much. I'm going to move on to agenda item 7, which is unfinished business. So we have two items this evening. The first is the Pleasant Valley Water Storage Replacement Bond article. And I'll turn it over to John first, or
Just to say that DPW Director Dan Tyler will address this bond article that is proposed to be on your warning for RTM.
so we're going to invite Dan Tyler up to the table, and if you want to give us a quick presentation on this.
Sure.
Excellent, thank you.
So a few years back, we had the primary 3 million gallon water tank at the treatment facility cleaned and assessed, and there was some recommended work to be done to it, kind of just routine maintenance stuff, resurfacing, fixing some hatches, things like that. But it needs to be taken offline to do that work. Typically, that process looks like installing a bunch of temporary tanks and temporary water. The configuration of our plant doesn't really allow for that. It's dependent on elevation, and to get the proper elevation, we don't have the space. So we started looking at other options, and turns out it's cheaper to build a secondary water tank. It'd be about 400,000 gallons. It would provide the adequate storage for the time of the resurfacing, and it would just give us some redundancy in the future. So we started looking at that project. We, Dufresne Group did some preliminary engineering. And we submitted it to the state's intended use plan for the drinking water fund. They returned with an offer of 0% interest for 40 years and 50% subsidy. The total price of the project is $1.62 million. So there'd be about $810,000 in subsidy there. This is very similar to the Phase 1 project that we brought to the meeting last year. We're kind of taking the bond in order to receive that subsidy. Last year, we budgeted $405,000 in the capital plan towards this tank project, and there's $405 proposed in this year's capital plan as well. So that would cover the difference of the loan. And the hope would be that the project could get underway when the treatment plant finishes this summer, fall. There's been some backlog of the state reviewing projects, and, that may delay us some, but that's the hope.
Great. Thank you very much, Dan. Board members, can I get a motion to start off the conversation?
Sure. I will move to warn an article on the representative town meeting warning to borrow through the Drinking Water State Revolving Loan Fund for a secondary water tank at the Pleasant Valley Water Treatment Facility.
Great. Thank you, Daniel. So we've got a motion. Questions or comments, board? I think I saw Daniel first.
Daniel
I'll speak
first.
to it.
Go ahead.
He's made the motion. Let him speak.
Yes. I noted in the backup material that the action needed to be taken before January 31st. And I note that today is February 1st. Are we okay?
Yes. We have made the drinking water program aware of the delay, and that date's set based on like the typical town meeting day. And because of our town meeting, they're fine with us delaying.
Great. Thank you.
Good question, Daniel. Liz.
Dan, I just wanted to say that you got to hand it to the Drinking Water State Revolving Loan Fund.
Yeah.
Don't you wish all state agencies would?
Where's that fund from?
Where do they get their funding, and why are they so generous?
Yeah, Dan, tell us.
Great question. No, I think this is still federal money. We think there's a couple years left of this subsidy before they run out of money.
That's great. So we're right in the sweet spot of getting this money.
Right.
And I assume that they really want to encourage towns to have state-of-the-art water quality.
Yeah,
So that's why this occurs.
right.
I think it's a little hard for the public to understand that they're giving us a loan and a subsidy at the same time at zero interest. I mean, it's almost too good to be true. Here it is, it's true. So that's nice.
Okay. Thanks, Liz. Other board members? See none, I'll turn it over to the public and to the room. Someone in the room. And I'll look to Zoom. I don't see any hands on Zoom. All right, any final comments from the board? No? Okay, so we have a pending motion to warn an article on the representative town meeting warning to borrow through the Drinking Water State Revolving Loan Fund for a secondary water tank at the Pleasant Valley Water Treatment Facility. Board members, all those in favor, please indicate with an aye. Aye. It's going to carry 4-0. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to move to agenda item 7B, which is the representative town meeting warning. So board, as you'll recall at our last meeting, we had a preliminary review of this. And this is our opportunity to make any final changes and to actually approve the final draft of the warning. So John, do you want to walk through it all, or?
Sure, we did attach the memo that we provided you previously, which at that time, we weren't looking for any action, but of course, tonight we are.
Yeah.
We need to warn this meeting in time, so hoping that we can walk out of here with a final warning. So we did not end up making any changes based on your conversation before, but of course, if there are articles that you want to consider changing or moving, then tonight's the opportunity to do that.
Excellent. Thank you very much, John. Before I take a motion, the only thing I want to clarify is, do we assign articles tonight to each board member, or do we wait till the motions? Wait till the motions.
I suspect we'll likely tackle the motions in
Yeah.
early March.
Okay, great. All right, board, I'll take a motion then now. Liz?
I move to approve the warning for the annual town meeting day election and the annual representative town meeting.
Great, thank you very much, Liz. Now with a motion pending, questions, comments, board members?
Well,
Liz?
I don't recall any items that were controversial except number 16. So why don't we just see if we're all good with 16 or want to change it and then go home?
Great. Do you want to speak on 16?
Not initially, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other board members want to speak on Article 16?
I guess like
Daniel?
my understanding is, so what we're warning here is that at that point in the meeting, we're going to have a discussion to see if we'll direct the select board to include a specific amount in the budget for human services funding. So town meeting will direct us to say this number. And I guess we had a conversation last time about the wording of the motion
Yeah.
and like who had the power to direct who and numbers for like that direction. But that is not a conversation we need to have today.
Because it's
Which is
not,
simply warning that we will have that conversation.
yeah, and we're not discussing the motion wording tonight.
Right.
Which is like, the one thing that's a little confusing about this is that, yeah, we're going to approve the articles, but we'll come back with the motion wording, which will be kind of how, for people who haven't gone to RTM before, the discussion starts with a motion made by a select board member. And in this particular article, in the past, that motion has included a percentage, which has sort of been like the starting point for the discussion. So if we keep Article 16 how it is, we can still have a discussion when we make the motions and discuss the motions on what that starting point should be. Wow, it's
And the
very quiet.
alternative is to eliminate the article, right? Is that that's an alternative?
That's an option.
That's an option. Yeah. Are you looking to eliminate?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay.
Because I think that both the select board and RTM and the public as well would benefit from this discussion and a fuller discussion at RTM.
Yeah. Yeah, Patrick, do you mind speaking, just because we're talking on Article 16, like what the purpose of this article is? Why do we include this?
So this is probably the third or possibly fourth year that this article has been on the warning. And I believe that the intention initially behind inserting this into the warning was to try and bring some level of coordination between the select board in preparation of the budget, some coordination with the Human Services Committee so that they know exactly, what they have in order to provide to applicants for human services funding, and for representative town meeting to weigh in on the subject. This is a way to sort of get those parties on the same page ahead of the preparation of the coming budget.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Patrick. Daniel.
And I guess I would just note that, like, since this article has been in the warning, it's made the human services funding article go much more smoothly. Whereas before this article existed, there was a year, at least 1 year, as far as I'm aware, where there was like substantial revisions to that human services budget, which was frustrating for the human services committee members who'd worked for several months on preparing that budget, but also well within the rights of town meetings. So it's some sort of attempt to compromise.
Yeah, my memory of that RTM was that essentially the work that we're offering RTM to do in Article 16 was done in human like they were trying to sort of establish what that rate was or that percentage was in that article instead. Okay. Other board members on Article 16 or any other article?
Just for clarification, just so I make sure I know what we're talking about. This is, if I recall right from the last RTM, this was the number that they suggested but got raised during RTM,
Correct.
right? Yeah. And so this is that article.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it correct, we started at 1.4 and it went to 2?
The motion that I believe you made was for 1.4% of the previous year's budget. That got amended to 2%.
Yeah. John?
Up to.
Thank you.
Your motion was up to
Right.
1.4, and it was approved at up to 2%.
Okay.
Cool.
I just want to, because sometimes I get it, a little conflated with like Article 10 and.
Yeah, I think and I think last meeting when we were discussing it with Franz, it got fairly confusing.
Well, yeah,
about
I
what
just
this
think
was.
when we're talking about two separate things, but they sort of seem to be the same.
Yeah. Other board members? No, any other article that we want to talk about or any concern on wording?
There were no
Daniel?
petitions received or anything for town meeting that were,
Is it too soon for that?
no?
None.
Okay.
Okay, I'll turn it over to the public to see if anyone wants to speak on any item on the warning. Is anybody in the room? And I don't see anyone in Zoom. All right. Any last comments there, board? No? Okay, so in that case, the motion pending is to approve the warning for the annual town meeting day election and the annual representative town meeting. Board members, all those in favor, please indicate with an eye.
Aye.
Aye. It's going to carry 4-0. All right, thank you very much. I think with that, let's have one more motion. Liz?
I move to adjourn.
Liz made a motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's going to carry 4-0.
All right.
Thank you.